and thank you for joining me. I just wanted to put a little something out in connection with last night's SAG Awards, the Screen Actors Guild. That was last night, and No Time to Die managed to get itself a Stunt Ensemble Award, which was rather nice. Also, that was the big screen. Now the little screen, Squid Game, was given the same award for the small screen, Stunt Ensemble, and I just wanted to share some bits and pieces with you. We had, for Squid Game, Jung Seong-ho and Park Young-sik, who were the two martial artists who are credited anyway in connection with the action, or the overall action on the show. And of course there are many stunt performers who will be working alongside them for the duration of that particular series. And similarly on the big screen, Lee Morrison and Olivier Schneider, plus all of the stunt performers who worked on the Bond. Now, a Stunt Ensemble Award is, as it says, it is for the ensemble, for the large group of people who've worked on a picture, on a TV show, in their capacity as, and in this instance, stunts. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big picture. It can be a small movie or a small television production. It might have one stunt coordinator who is also the performer. That's a possibility. But in these instances, these are big shows on the TV and film, and they have generated a great deal of interest, and they are action-packed enough to warrant an award. And I think it's great that they are getting the recognition that they deserve in a small capacity, but nevertheless, you know, the Screen Actors Guild and the Emmys are doing this and have been doing this for some time, and I think it's hugely beneficial, so a big thank you to them. The Academy Awards, on the other hand, well, that's a very different kettle of fish, because there is no category for stunts at the Academy Awards. There is visual effects. Now, visual effects encapsulates a number of different areas. It's almost as though you have a series of different areas, whether physical or computer generated, and they have been brought together. Let's take Chris Corbould, for instance, and his capacity as special effects engineer. Now, he is not nominated at the Emmys or at the Screen Actors Guild, but he will be under visual effects at the Oscars. So that's the way they've categorized it. Stunts is not applicable, but visual effects is. And clearly, visual effects is a visual explosion which is created by special effects, or a way of being able to, for instance, turn a vehicle over. That's created by special effects. They build the pipe ramps. They develop the cannons that fit inside the vehicles to turn the cars over. These are special effects. Now, special effects work alongside stunt performers. Very, very, very strategically, very important part. And the stunt performers will accept them as part of their own ensemble, but they are not stunt performers, and so therefore the awards presented last night are for the performers and coordinators of that action. Okay, just in case there was any confusion along the way, just wanted to clear it up. Now, also on the basis of that, if you look at what has gone before, the Academy Awards are, what, 90 something years, I think, since the Academy Awards started, and they've never had a category for stunts. They have awarded stunts, or an award to a stunt performer coordinator, on 3 occasions. Firstly, in 1966, that was Yakima Canutt. We've covered him before on our show. You will be familiar with his work. I'll use the example of Stagecoach. For instance, we talked about the drag under the team of horses. That was Yakima Canutt. He received an honour for excellence in the field of stunts Now, he was John Wayne's double for many, many years and coordinator on many of those Admiral John Ford westerns, before becoming second unit director later on in life, where on Where Eagles Dare, for instance, Break Hard Pass. There are a couple of examples, to name but a few. Vic Armstrong was then received a Technical Achievement Award, Technical Achievement Academy Award, and I think that was, 2002, something like that. Now, this was for the development of a piece of kit called the Fan Descender. Now, bear in mind that this award took place in early 2000s. The Fan Descender was developed with Vic and with Dave Bickers, who was the sort of founding father of British stunt engineering, if you will. His son Paul now runs Bickers, the company Bickers, and they are responsible for stunt engineering many, many shows, film and television wise. But they had developed, the script required a fall from a bank in Mexico, and this was to be done in 2 sections. They elongated the fall, made it, in the edit, made it look like it was a much, much longer fall. So firstly, Roy fell attached to a cable for 70-80 feet directly into camera. And then secondly, there was the cut, the edit, and he does the high fall into an airbag. Now, while I'm explaining to you this, I'll have this sequence running over here so you can see what I'm talking about. So that's what happened. This Fan Descender was based on a device that they used to use for training people for parachute jumps from a tower. They would be tethered to a line, they would jump, and it would fan. The fan would go around, slowing down the descent and then making it easier for them to tuck, roll, as you would used to do in parachuting, when it was a fixed line parachute jump. And so they developed this for the purpose of lowering, the stuntman in this case was Roy Alon, and developing that so he could be lowered straight into camera, cut, and then that's the high fall. Now, the final edit gives the impression that it's a much longer fall. It's majestic, and it's filmed, the actual fall itself is filmed slight slow motion. So it just cuts down some of that and it makes it look much, much higher. And he was awarded for that. But that was 1981, that movie. He was awarded this in 2002, I think it was. And a lot had happened after that. So the development of this then meant that this particular piece of equipment could be used in all sorts of situations. Lots of wire work these days. And in fact, if you look at a great many of the credits on pictures, not so much TV shows, but more so on feature films, you will see there is riggers, stunt riggers. These are people who are responsible for the physical rigging of the stunts, and in this respect would also mean wire stunts. Nowadays they use things called ratchets, wires pulling people back, developed more or less along the same sort of lines. So all of that's primarily where that came from. And then, of course, 2012, 2013, Hal Needham. Hal Needham, of course, was a stuntman for many, many years in television and film. Burt Reynolds' stunt double. Big friend of Burt's. They lived together for many years. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is effectively based around their relationship. As a stunt coordinator, he worked on many, many big pictures. As a director, he worked on a great many pictures with Burt. You know, Hooper, Smokey and the Bandit, Cannonball Run, all of these sort of pictures. And again, he was awarded a special Oscar for the work that he had done then. Now, there was also a spot which happened during, I think it was the 1984 or 85 Academy Awards show, where Hollywood did a salute to the stunt community, the unsung heroes of the big screen. They had a montage, and then ultimately they had a lineup of 10 or 15 available stunt performers who were on stage at the time. But that's as good as it got. There was some stunt women, some stunt men, and that was as much recognition as went on, and then they moved on with another segment of the show. The Academy Awards are the highest bestowed honour in the film business. Hair, makeup, editing, sound, cinematography, original score, original screenplay, adapted screenplay, all have their own categories. And as important as stunts in their own way are, without the action, a great many of these pictures just don't work. Being overlooked for some is just par for the course. I remember, what do I mean by that? There was a stunt, the stunt professional was sometimes described as the child, and by that they were referred to as being seen but not heard, you know. They didn't mind when they arrived on set to do the job. They were doubling the actor, and then once they've doubled the actor, they should get out of there, because there were still certain clauses in many actors' contracts in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s that meant that these actors were effectively, as far as the public were concerned, doing their own stunts. They weren't doubled. They were doing it. After their deaths, of course, it became very apparent that they weren't doing it themselves. They were relying on other stunt performers to do it for them. Harold Lloyd is a perfect example of a man who, in his contract, it was written in that there would be no press release of any shape or form letting the public know that he didn't actually do all of his own stunts. He did a lot of his own action, but not his own stunts. They were done by a stuntman called Harvey Parry, who was responsible for doing Safety Last, for instance. You've seen that when he's hanging onto the clock face. That's Harvey doing the high stuff. Climbing up the building, that's Harvey. The stuff on the clock face is filmed very differently on an adjacent building. It's perspectives. He's 15 feet above the ground. He's not 150 feet above the ground. It's all done very differently. And right the way through his career, or certainly towards the latter part of his career, when he was working for the Senate Factory, anyways, with a lot of those movies that were based and made with them, Harvey was responsible for a great deal of that. So that was always a situation. And yet it gives the impression that, you know, it's the 21st century, things have moved on. Surely by now, and the way in which technology has moved on, you would think that, you know, Oscar nominations for all categories would be appropriate. There have been Stuntman Awards, of course. 1985 and 1986 there was the Stuntman Awards, which were based in Hollywood in the States and primarily around television, but also they had movie categories too, and it ran for 2 years, and it was hosted by Lee Majors. And Lee Majors was, of course, the fall guy, so he was an ideal person to have as a front person playing a stuntman in the show. Since then, there have been the Taurus Awards, and these have been the lifeblood of recognition, really, up until this point. Taurus Foundation, funded, of course, by Red Bull, and there's a team of people on the Taurus committee who have got together and said, look, we need to do something about it. Now, early on in the awards system, as far as Taurus was concerned, it was a televised show for 2 or 3 years, maybe, back in the early 2000s. A lot of celebrities there, a lot of coverage, a lot of exciting action, a lot of awards handed out by celebrities to the stunt performers. And then that stopped. Now, I don't know why that stopped. I know it was run, as far as Paramount Studios was concerned, in a backlot, and now it's run in the awards ceremony itself, although still organised by Taurus, is a much more low-key affair. And the Paramount Theatre in Hollywood is the location for the event. It is run by the stunt community. It is presented by the stunt community. It is televised by them too, but not for national televising. It is there for their own record, and they do publicise some of that and do put some of it up on YouTube. But I don't know. I feel as though the awards that are being handed out currently for the SAG Awards and the Emmys, these are to be applauded. They are to be applauded. And the ideal way of having an award that covers everything, that ticks every box, is an ensemble award. Everybody who has worked on that picture is nominated and will receive an award if the movie is successful. It's a joy. It really is. It's that simple. If you want to, you're nominated for anything at all, that's a thrill. Actors have been saying that for years. Whether they mean it or not is another story. But there are a great many actors for leading roles or supporting roles who have said, I'm an Oscar-nominated actor, and that goes along in their career. Oscar-nominated actor so-and-so, Oscar-nominated actress so-and-so. That is the title that is given to them. They don't have won, but they were nominated, and obviously the production quality, the action that the stunt teams are putting in, the hours that they're putting in, the training and the quality of the work that they're putting in, is warranting enough, I think, to be nominated, have their own category and have their own nominations. Now that's just my opinion, and everybody who knows me will know that it just ain't that simple. And there are many people who have been working behind the scenes for many years, desperately trying to get something done. Two stunt guys that spring to mind, Conrad Parmesano and Jack Gill from Stunts Unlimited in the States. They've been doing this for 30 plus years, trying to find a way in which the Academy will allow a stunt category, and they keep having the door slammed in their face. They keep being told, no, there's no point, stop doing what you're doing, it's not going to happen. But they're not being given a reason why, and that's very disheartening. How many times have you been told no, and then you ask, well, why? Give me a reason why, maybe we can find a way around it. And you're given an explanation as to why, and then you suddenly realise, well, in that case we can do this, and you find a way around it. You talk to the person concerned and you work a way out of being able to sort it and get it right. That's all they're looking for. They're being told no. Alright, give me a reason why. And on the strength of that, maybe they can come up with something. Maybe they can find a way of being able to make it work. And that's all it is. It's simply a case of recognition where recognition is due. They're putting huge amounts of work into the movies that you are seeing on a yearly basis. And those movies could be full-on action capers and are being nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Hair and Makeup and Best Sound. Whereas there could be a period piece that has almost no stunt work in it whatsoever, but has a stunt coordinator who is there for health and safety purposes. It's just as important. It's not just the fact that you would have 200 people being blown up and it's a massive, great, stunt picture. It doesn't have to be. There could be a huge, great sequence in it, or there could be, somebody tripping over, somebody falling over. It doesn't matter what it is, but the fact that every production these days, regardless of what the genre is, will have a stunt professional on board primarily for safety. And then, of course, they will be involved in any other physical stunts or training of the actors for varying roles. So I think that is where we are with it currently, and I just, I think that these awards that have happened recently, they're fantastic, and fair play to SAG and fair play to the Emmys for doing what you're doing. Thank you for doing that, and we praise those individuals from Squid Game and from No Time to Die for being the award winners for this particular year, and all of those other nominees who are nominated for their shows and for their films. It's not over yet. You know, I'd like to think that there's still a torch being held and it's not over yet. And I would very much like to see recognition at the highest level, because these individuals provide a service at the highest level. And that is where I shall step off my soapbox. Until next time, thank you very much indeed for watching. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.